Let's talk about the Breakfast Club. I seen a clip of Jess Hilarious this week talking outside of the studio.
Yeah.
Talking about how strict Netflix has been about their social media postings outside of their Netflix content, how they don't really want them to do anything, how they've had to find new ways to try to interact with their fans outside of the content that they're making exclusively now with Netflix.
I ain't gonna lie, yo, since Breakfast Club been on Netflix, man, our engagement, our people be all the fans that we built up over time, or that they built up. I just got here. That they built up over time on YouTube. Oh my God, they feel neglected because Netflix was like, nope, we want all of it. Y'all can't have no other social media presence, none. So now we got to find other content to do that can go on our other platforms. But it's okay because Jess Hilarious got that in a bag, shorty.
No, nigga. No. No. No.
Want to have a bit of a discussion and kind of examine what's going on with some of these podcasts over there, because again, what I was looking for very early on was heavy boasting about viewership and such, which would, kind of be your main trade-off for moving behind basically a paywall is, the very vast audience that you have access to now. Mm-hmm. And I've seen no such boasting by Netflix or the Breakfast Club. Honestly, it's been the complete opposite. It's been people talking about how detached they feel from their audience now. And I mean, what exactly did you expect?
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, I feel like we called that.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, when we discussed it before, my feelings were that, at the very least, they were okay with where they were in the culture so much that, in this case, we're not chasing the algorithm anymore. We might as well just go on Netflix and just collect the check from it. And now that Jess Hilarious herself is coming out and saying, well, I don't know, I feel disassociated from the culture now, that means that you feel a way about this Netflix deal.
I think they discounted how important or how fragile that yoke is, right? How quickly people will move on to other things. And so if you're limiting the amount of eyeballs or you're putting yourself in a pay-to-play situation, it's sensitive, right? You had better be sure that the vast majority of your audience will pay to see you, because that's really what it boils down to. YouTube is free, and so there really isn't a way to recreate free. Mm-hmm. You can try to increase value to justify spending money, but you cannot recreate free.
Yeah.
I think that, looking at the Barstool stuff and Breakfast Club, two of the things that I see so much less now is Barstool clips, sports clips, and Breakfast Club clips.
Yeah.
Don't see them anymore on social media, all like that.
Yep.
And that's it's seemingly like as a direction from Netflix. And if you see them on social media, it's because other people have downloaded and reposted clips. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that helps you. And like you said, they're at a place where they're not chasing the algorithm, but I don't think you could truly quantify how much of an audience you garnered from a free app and how different it would be with that not necessarily being the case anymore. Now you still got radio, but again, you never really interface with your radio fans. Your radio fans are listening,
right?
They're driving to and from.
Yeah, and at some level, I think, everybody's been saying it, but the lack of a comment section actually means something in this case. Because now the people don't feel like they're actively engaging with the video that they're watching. It's like,
and quiet as it's kept. Again, I can't tell you specifically because I don't know what's going on there. I haven't watched them on Netflix. I know Trick Williams was on there last week. But I had to imagine that some of the topic farming that they were doing in terms of what to talk about on a day-to-day basis, you mean you're keeping up every morning with fresh stories to talk about, some of that had to come from audience engagement. It had to.
Sure. I agree with that.
So now, as they go further and further down this line, I expected for them to be more and more disconnected from what the audience is actually asking for or wants to talk about, just like cable television, just like cable news. Mm-hmm. The people sitting at CNN and MSNBC are so above the everyday American in their ivory towers, they would not, nor could they fathom what the viewpoint is on some of these things. They completely stay in the echo chamber that they're creating these narratives in, and don't venture out into the actual world to see what
there's
people,
no street level for them.
Exactly. And so that is where I feel like Breakfast Club is moving into more of an Overton window. You know what I'm saying? They're over scoping as opposed to having the audience drive their individual decisions in terms of what they talk about.
I agree with that. I think specifically to what you just said about the fact that they get their topics from audience engagement at some level. I think there's been plenty of times where Charlamagne has had to either redact or react to audience engagement through his Donkey of the Day or Yee, but now not Jess, but the other one. What's her name? Lauren and her news takes, and sometimes they react to certain things through there. So, like, absolutely, they've gotten content through audience engagement. One thing I did want to note with all of this as well, Jess is the one saying this.
Yeah.
And that's important to me because DJ Envy doesn't talk out very much. And Charlamagne received $200 million fucking dollars for this, right? And so, whereas Jess probably sees this from an angle that's
she
much
didn't get
closer
paid
to
out
us.
to accept the difference. You know, Charlamagne did. Envy probably
Envy might
did.
have got a raise. Charlamagne got $200 million contract.
Yeah, she probably didn't. Her pay wasn't compensatory to losing the influence that she was able to transfer from engaging with people through Breakfast Club,
especially since she just joined on, right? If we look at the legacy of the Breakfast Club, it's always going to be tied to Envy, Charlamagne, and Yee and Jess. But Jess doesn't get the look as far as from a legacy standpoint to that. She wasn't involved in all of that. But the reason I bring Charlamagne and his contract into this is because I don't just feel that way for the Breakfast Club. We're talking about the Breakfast Club specifically. There are numerous iHeart podcasts that I feel like have gone completely by the wayside. Hello, New Rory and Mal. Hello, Joe and Jada.
Oh, we're about to get to the...
Like, for me, I feel like not only is the Breakfast Club feeling this, but to a much larger extent, Joe and Jada was just starting, so them feeling this has to hurt. New Rory and Mal without a comment section is insane. Because what is it? What is it? What is it? And then you go into the Barstools and the Ringer podcast, which, not for nothing, I feel like I've seen more clips of Higher Learning now recently.
I mean, there's nobody occupying the space. It's Iran war updates, Higher Learning,
White Vacationers.
50-50
one of the
Pan.
main clips I've seen.
Yeah.